Dutch movies are boring, superficial and predictable, at least according to youngsters in Holland. Today in On Topic, we're going to be looking into the image of Dutch movies, particularly how young people view them. We're joined by guest Jeffrey Tomberg, who's just finished making his graduation film, and Herwin van der Pol, a professor of media and culture at the University of Amsterdam. Thank you for joining us today.
I don't really watch a lot of Dutch movies, but I think their storylines are always the same. So they're just kind of boring.
Turks Vooruit, I think that's a very bad movie. There are like typical naked scenes in it, and I think that's typical Dutch, so I don't like that idea.
Well, I don't actually watch so many movies, Dutch movies at least. What I do think is that most of these films, they always have the same kind of actors, which makes it a bit fake in my regards.
Most of the time they're good movies, like, but not the movies you see in the theaters, but you see on television, like telefilms.
So that's it. Shit movie. Don't watch that. Acting was shit.
I don't regularly watch Dutch movies because I think they suck.
So Dutch movies, they suck apparently. Do you agree with what the young people have said here?
Well, it's a bit too much maybe, because I don't think Dutch movies suck, because there are a lot of Dutch movies, but I do think that the movies that are easier available to the public, they start to look quite the same. Most times it's a romance, comedy, and there has to be famous actors in it, Dutch actors. So yeah, I can understand why some people say that Dutch movies suck, but it's a little bit too harsh to say.
Can you think of a Dutch movie that you've enjoyed in particular?
Oof. Well, I liked the Marathon, although it is a comedy. So, but it was different than other movies because it felt more. It wasn't just a romance comedy, it was more a comedy, and it had famous actors in it, but I liked it because it just gave me a new feeling, what I didn't felt with a lot of other Dutch movies which are in the cinema. Yeah,
and Herwin, do you agree? Do you agree with the young people or with what Jeffrey said?
Well, some films suck, yeah, but I think that in the Netherlands we make quite good films. But yeah, there's a difference in public. If young people, say till 25, they go to the cinema, to the commercial cinemas, and then they expect commercial cinema, and they compare it to American films. Well, and you can't beat them. They have 100 times more money. So we lose there. So actually we shouldn't be trying to copy American films, because that we lose. And in that respect we make bad films. But if you take the art cinema and the serious film, or films that try to move a little bit in that direction, like Marathon, they are of very good quality and even worldwide appreciated. And of course the best example is Alex van Warmerdam, Borgman. That's world stuff. That's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of different films and lots of different opinions. We actually did a research study into Dutch film culture carried out at Utrecht University in 2009 that showed us that the Netherlands has always been different from other European countries in both its cinema attendance and film culture. In fact, it was discovered that since the earlier 20th century, the Dutch were lagging behind. Do you agree with this? Are we lagging behind?
No, not really, actually. Yeah, well, I can't argue against research, but that's not what in the 1900, early 1900, 1910, 1920, we had the best film distributor worldwide, Jean de Smet. So he introduced, well, it's one of the best, so it's still his archive is still the best for that period of time. So at that time we were certainly not running behind. Well, I don't know to which countries in Europe it's compared, but there's a difference in countries with subtitles or with original language. And as a subtitle country with very small language area, you just don't have enough money. You don't have enough public to make big films. So in Germany, for example, they have their own language, but they also have a bigger distribution net, so they can make bigger films. So I think that taking that into account, that we are just a very small country with a very limited amount of viewers, we do the best we can.
And do you think that the youngsters here obviously aren't very proud of Dutch movies? Do you think other countries, maybe Germany or French, they're more proud of their movies that they produce?
Yes, because they were more acknowledged worldwide. That's for one, better known worldwide. But even, well, the strange thing is that even the good films from the Netherlands, and of course there are not that many, but there are several good films, they are better appreciated outside the Netherlands than inside.
Do you have any examples of these films?
Well, Paul Verhoeven is understood as a very great director, and in the Netherlands he was considered as pulp. So yes, the appreciation outside of the Netherlands is better for Dutch cinema.
Yeah, and Jeffrey, do you agree? Do you think that it's different in your other countries compared to here?
Yeah, definitely, because it's also because we don't have a lot of money for making movies. That's just, that's just the way it is. So I believe that also producers are playing on pretty much on safe, because we have a select group of people that actually go to the cinemas. Like you have the art house cinema, but you also have the commercial cinema, and they just have to play it on safe, because else they lose money. They have to make money somehow, and that's why I believe they play on safe and they use romance comedy. Why? Because women like to go there. They also drag their boyfriend to the cinema, but we're talking about commercial cinema, and that's actually, and it's a circle that goes on and on and on, because producers, they can say like, I would like to have a science fiction, sure, I want a science fiction, but on the other hand they say we don't have the money for it. We know that if we bring this to the cinema, commercial cinema, we probably lose money.
Yeah, money is definitely a big issue. One of the most famous theatre directors who occasionally makes feature films as well is Theo Bommans, and he actually talks about money here.
Zit u er nog aan te denken om nog een film te maken ooit, of wilt u het toch bij...
Jawel hoor, nee. Ik heb een aantal filmprojecten liggen, maar die moeten nog gefinancierd worden, et cetera. Nee hoor, ik wil heel graag films maken. Ja. Dat is nog niet een kwestie van tijd, het is doorgaans een kwestie van geld, zoals dat altijd een kwestie is. Het duurt lang voor je een film gefinancierd hebt en voor je zo'n project van de grond af hebt getrokken.
So, Jeffrey, you've just started out as a director. Have you think you've tackled the problem of finance yet?
No, definitely not. No. It was I'm one of the many students and starting filmmakers that wanted to make a difference. We all start that way probably. But I realized that I didn't want to play it on safe. I just wanted to make a movie. At the beginning of my study, I said to my teachers, like, I want a post-apocalyptic film. I want to make it when I'm in the last year, I'm gonna make it. I wrote scenario and, well, they liked it, but they said, it's high production value, how you get the money, how you get this, how you get that. And I really, really, really wanted to try it. And it was really tough, I must admit, but we actually made it.
So how was it that you funded it?
Well, we used crowdfunding, and we I don't know the English word. Well, we had another sponsor, and they liked our idea that we wanted to make something bigger. So that's how we actually kind of got the money together. But a student film is also, we have to pay in mind, student film, people don't get paid. There are a lot of free people doing stuff for free. We get a lot of discount. So Yeah, but I think the result of the money we had and the result we made, I think it is, well, it's cool, it's good.
Yeah, because you did your movie on a very, very low budget.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you'd had more money, you would have maybe reached a bigger audience?
Well, it depends, because it can go two ways. Like when you make a movie, it can go, you have three options. It's like you just hope people love it a lot. People will eventually talk about it and you'll get noticed, which is quite tough. You have B, you just don't care about it. Or you have C, and that's you have money to actually start a promotion. Yeah. Because with promotion, just always, you can promote a lot, but eventually there's money involved. So we actually have a little bit on the side for promotion.
Because some people have said that people judge the money, the quality of the film on the money that they make rather than the content of the film. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, that's what people do, of course, and money has to be, it's a very expensive business, and owning a film theater is extremely expensive and very difficult, actually. And commercial cinema is difficult, and art cinema is even more difficult. So yes, and if you don't make money on your film as a distributor or maker and a producer, then you can't do anything after that, and you're just broke. So that's the end of things. So the risks are very high. So yeah, it's a money business. That's the whole problem, and also that's maybe what spectators have to deal with, is that from their point of view they see it as recreation or just entertainment, and something just to look for 1.5 hours or 2 hours, just have a nice evening. While at the other hand, but for the makers and the producers, it's big business. It's a matter of life and death.
Yeah,
almost,
a lot's gone behind the movies, definitely.
But it's difficult to compare those two things. They're two separate worlds almost. And when the spectators say, "Well, it doesn't look, the production value is not high enough," for example, well, they judge a film even by that, but. It should be about, is it just a good film? Do I like it? And why do I like it? But all these discussions about art and commerce and the fact that they make money out of films, and that's just like in any debate on art, on other arts as well. The moment you come up with money and people start having to live from that, then the problem becomes, is it still art? Is it still worth something, or has it just become commercial? And this debate is all around, and even as a spectator, even if you just go to a cinema and just watch a film, then you notice that there is so much money around.
Yeah, money seems to be very important. Do you think that there's anything that can be done in the Netherlands that can change this image? Change how we use money?
Well, it's hard to say, because I'm a starting filmmaker. So first of all, I have ideas about it, but it's not as simple as it probably will sound. But I do believe that if you hear that a lot of people actually say that the Dutch movies start to become boring, and I'm talking about the commercial films. So people will go to art house theaters if they want those films, but especially the commercial films, I think we just need a little bit more gut to just try maybe 2 or 3 films, just try to make a different film, not a romance comedy with a lot of famous actors. That's
the thing a lot of the young people said. They said that the things were recognizable to them, so perhaps maybe with your ideas of new films and different films, they would become less recognizable to people, definitely. So that's what youngsters think. They don't think that films are exciting at all. How do you think we can change this? How do you think we can make films more exciting? I mean, obviously different new topics, but is there anything else that you think young people are looking for, they want to see in films?
Well, I think that if we look at the commercial films, that of course, the American films are always enjoyable. And as we talked about it, like they always compare it, but it's not good to compare it.
Yeah.
But it is good to look at the other countries, like also Belgium and Germany and Sweden. You know, just to not to just look at our own films, but also look at other films and look at them like, okay, how do they do it? Because and I think we can make it more exciting by adding, or maybe you know, a little bit of action or shooting, or just a little bit farther away from our beds. Just and I think that change is really hard because it's new, especially with Dutch films. It's hard to actually make something like that because you have a fat heart. But yeah, it's just you know, it's tough. And then you have the series Smeres, and they are enjoyable because people are like, okay, so they're shooting in it, and there's, you know, a little bit of romance in it. There are famous actors in it, so
Yeah.
There is a possibility that it's starting, but with series it's starting a little bit, but with film it's just still on the downside. And I believe that if we just try to have a little bit more guts and to make different films for different people, maybe the audience will have something like, I can choose between a romance comedy, or I can choose between Dutch action or science fiction. And then, you know, I think then we can start something.
Yeah, just needs that push in the right direction. Herwin, you mentioned before the fact that youngsters don't want to recognise too many things in Dutch films because then it's not as exciting. Let's listen to Diederik van Rohen, a Dutch film director, and see what he thinks.
If you pitch in Holland a story about a little boy who meets an alien who wants to go home, and he lives in his shed, and it's, I mean, E.T. wouldn't have never been made here. Why? Because Dutch people don't think that way. They think there's a story about my neighbor, and he has a cow, and the cow is sick, and we got to do something about it. It's not in the Dutch culture to think of what is the most heartfelt, strange movie experience. Then is it? I don't know. It is in a different feeling.
Diederik's movie, Stella's War, didn't receive positive criticism in the Netherlands. Critics believe the movie was too far-fetched. In the United States, the movie received a totally different feedback.
The Americans get what I want with the movie. I don't know if the Dutch people want. I mean, I've seen it, I've shown it to some American producers, and they really get it because it's more cinematic. And the Dutch, I don't know if they really get it because they are used to a little bit more of a simpler storytelling. So I don't really know if they got it.
Do the topics in Dutch film reflect the characteristics of Dutch people? Do you think that they're too small for big things?
Yes, they do. Of course, they do reflect the Dutch culture. But I think something I wanted to add to the discussion is that in every European country, the own citizens do not like the national cinema because it's so common, because they see what exactly how their world is, so it looks familiar. And as you were saying, you need something exotic, so guns or whatever direction, but you need something that is not Dutch. So the point is that, of course, if we make a Dutch film, then it's very Dutch, but the Dutch audience won't like it for that, because they want to see it different. That's also why Gooise Vrouwen, for example, is a box office hit, because it's familiar, but it's also over the top. So that's a nice way of doing it. But the moment you start just reflecting and representing the Dutch culture as a Dutch cineast, then you end up with bored audience.
Yeah,
but outside people in other countries, they will just like it for that. So the Danish like Dutch film very much because it's so familiar but also very exotic. But the other way around, it's also we, the Dutch, like Danish films. We appreciate them highly because they are almost Dutch but a little bit more exotic and well made.
Yeah, it's new locations and new languages and stuff, definitely. So let's listen in this respect, a very Dutch scriptwriter of the movie Upstream, Marieke van der Pal. She seems to illustrate what Deirdre van Roen says about the daily topics of Dutch film.
Was het de bedoeling dat alles stromend herkenbaar zou zijn?
Het is vanaf het begin af aan Daniels en mijn bedoeling geweest om een heel herkenbare film te maken. Dus niet een grote, plotgedreven film, maar een kleine, menselijke, alledaagse film. Waarin eigenlijk nauwelijks iets gebeurt, behalve dan dat je twee mensen die veel van elkaar houden, van elkaar af ziet drijven. Eigenlijk zonder dat ze er iets aan kunnen doen. Dus we wilden een gevoelige, kleine film maken. Ja, dus dat is zeker onze bedoeling geweest. En dat het zo herkenbaar werd, eigenlijk werd het nog herkenbaarder meer dan we oorspronkelijk gehoopt hadden. Want doordat het onderwerp zowel voor Daniel, de regisseur, als voor mij, de scenario-schrijver, heel persoonlijk was, we hebben echt onze beide verhalen samengevoegd, is het toch een onderwerp wat gewoon iedereen betreft ongeveer. Dus het is ontzettend herkenbaar. Dus ik vroeg aan hem, maar waar zou jij het dan een film over willen maken? Toen zei hij, nou, ik ben eigenlijk altijd gefascineerd geweest door wat er met mijn moeder gebeurde toen ik het huis uitging. En toen dacht ik, oh, wacht even, daar kan ik ook wel wat over vertellen. Maar dan vanuit de moeder, toen mijn dochter het huis uitging. En dat onderwerp interesseerde me zeker. Waardoor toen zijn moeder de film zag, zei zij, oh ja, maar dat is mijn verhaal. En mijn dochter zag de film en die zei, dat is ons verhaal. En daar hadden we dus echt fantastisch één verhaal van kunnen maken. En dat werkte ook nooit bij hem, want hij had een rommelige kamer waar hij niet wilde dat ik dat zag. Wat ook gewoon in die film zit.
Het maakt mij niet uit als het een rommel is. Nou, kom jij dan maar naar beneden. Ja.
Als je echt alleen maar houdt van plotgestuurde films waarin flink drama zit, dan is dit natuurlijk een teleurstellende film, want hij kabbelt min of meer voort. Er gebeurt echt heel weinig.
The audience didn't seem to like the film Upstream as much as the producers expected, although they did receive the Audience Award at the Dutch Film Festival. It wasn't really a financial success, as not too many people went to see it. Do you think that young filmmakers your topic of film is very different. Do you think that that's the way forward to get more people to see films?
It's hard to say because I'm not sure what it will do, because you never know for sure what it will do. And there have been a lot of other people before me that said the same thing. I want to make a change. I want to make a difference. Actually, we all want to. But on the other hand, I think that if we give people, the viewers, an opportunity to experience something different, and that if those films get the attention they need, then maybe there is a little change in what we're going to do. Because, you know, with the new people arriving, there are new people, filmmakers arriving like every year, new. But eventually they are growing up as well, and maybe they have to start making the romance comedy films with famous actors at first. But eventually some get where they want to be, and then they can maybe make a change as well. So it depends, but I do believe that with especially this year of students that are graduating, it's a real big difference than the year before, because I went there and it just all looked the same. We had to watch like 12 graduation films and they all looked the same. They were different, but they all were the same. And I think that this year there's a real difference between all the films, and I just hope that Dutch films and series just start keep changing, keep having the guts to do something different, and not only police series or romance comedies. I really hope that.
Hopefully. You've researched the time of how Dutch films have changed. Do you think that this is something that's happened before, or do you think that it is finally happening?
It happened before. It's a history. It keeps repeating itself. But that's what people need. I completely agree. You need an authentic voice, authenticity. That's what. So that's something that a new director comes up who thinks it really matters, and I really want to fight for it. And somehow you can see that through films, even despite all the money problems or whatever, or maybe that you're in a genre that looks like similar to other films in the genre, but people, in the end, the audience likes authenticity, guts.
Yeah. And Jeffrey, do you think that you'll follow in Deirdre's footsteps and go to the US, or do you think that things will change in the Netherlands, that you'll want to stay here?
Yeah, I had a discussion about that with my friend yesterday, actually, and it was a really long discussion. Because he also made a graduation film. It was a horror, and he was really happy about it. I was happy about it, but the producers just said, like, I like it, but I can't sell this. There's no romance, there's no, it's not gonna work. I want to, but I can't.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, and it was, I realized that on one hand, it would be maybe convenient to go abroad. But on the other hand, it's more like, you know, you leave something, and I don't want to give up. I would rather try a few times and maybe I won't succeed than just say like, oh, hell with Holland and their films, and see you in 20 years. You know, that's just, I really believe that, I believe the Dutch audience can, they already say that they want a change, but the most films that are actually promoted on film, on national or on television or whatever, they're always the films with the famous actors and so on. So the common Dutch film viewers just don't get the new films. You have to be a real art house fan to actually, oh wait, there are more films, wait, there are student films, like when you go to the Dutch film festival, some people just their graduation films, I didn't know. So I think it's just a matter of time, promotion, and just keep trying. And
well, hopefully your hard work will pay off, and I think it would be a great loss to the Dutch industry if you did go abroad, so I think you should stay and stick it out, definitely. So thank you to our guests, Jeffrey Tomberg and Herwin Velderpol. Goodbye.